Welcome back, guys. My name is Adam. I have Rusmin.
Hello.
And Victor.
Hi everyone.
Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to ask a question. How much of your salary should you save? So, sometimes I go on, forums online, Reddit, stuff like that. This question will come up like, hey guys, how much of your salary do you save? Is it, I save this amount, is that enough? Very common question, comes up again and again. And usually people will say, 30%. Some go like, oh, I save 50% or even higher.
Some say 70%.
Yeah, or some say like 0%, I can't save anything, which are obviously not a good thing. But is there like we're going to find out whether there's a proper like template that we can follow to save how much according to what it is. I have some stats from SingStat. So SingStat in Singapore, as of the latest quarter, Singaporeans actually save, and I believe this figure is after CPF is taken away. Our savings rate is 35%.
Quite impressive.
That's quite good,
Yeah, I think it's 35.2%.
What's the rate in the US?
In comparison, the US savings rate is 3%.
Wow.
So it's a huge difference. Singaporeans save a lot of money, and this is after CPF, I would assume.
No wonder so many people buy property.
Every time you go to a new launch condo, it's like queues. It's like, how come they have so much money, man?
Because you got 35% saving.
Yeah. So if you're already saving CPF 20%, and then 17% on top of the employers, and then what you take home, you save another 30%. Oh man, you're like making bank, man. Anyway, for the context of this discussion, we're gonna find out what is the best savings rate, optimal savings rate for your take-home pay. So that means after we're going to exclude CPF, there's extra, which is a good thing. And we're going to share some personal stories as well, because I remember Victor saved a lot of money when he was younger. Yeah, and quite extreme maybe.
Yeah, I think it's not good.
And then
bad for mental health.
Bad for mental health. Okay. Yeah. And we're going to just like nail down what is a good rate to save. Okay, so maybe we can start with I think your personal story.
Yeah. So because when I was young, I think I stayed with my parents. Yeah, so my parents covered a lot of the expense.
Everyone stays with our parents in Singapore.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. So in my 20s, I still staying with my parents. I'm quite lucky because my dad runs a business. So I drove a car, but then my dad pays for everything, even the fuels and everything.
Lucky you.
Yeah. So I work. I don't have to pay a lot of the bills because my dad really pays for me. So in the end, I save up almost like 80%.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much were you making in your early 20s? Like
it's just take home about maybe 2,000 or.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you saved 80%.
Yeah, about 80%
after CPF.
After CPF.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So how was it? How did it affect your mental health?
Oh yeah, man. But I was so thrifty. Yeah. Right. And a lot of things I want to go, but I say I know. I just don't want. Okay. Right. So it's a life that myself and at that point of time I also don't really like, but I know that I have to save. Why I do that is because got one period of time my father's business got into a very hard time, right? And that point of time I don't have savings. And that 3 months was a very hard time for me, and that really goes into my brain. So I become very scared to spend money.
Also, you were spending a lot of money first, correct. And then you hit a bit of hardship. Yeah. Family hardship, and then you decided, oh shit, I should save. Yeah.
Okay. Correct. Okay. So then I become very extreme,
Okay.
Right. So I did reach my certain goals that I want, like 100,000 in the early 20s and all this, right? But then now I look back, I think generally I missed out a lot of things. So I didn't really travel, didn't really do a lot of things. I didn't really want to buy the things that I want and all this. Right? So I think mentally is not so good. But of course, you don't need to go to the extreme. You still have to save, right? So that when you go to your 30s, right, you can be more relaxed, right? Which is what happening to me now. I'm generally more relaxed because I save a lot in my early years, right? So what really got me impacted and what I feel is not good for mental health is I realize, and I see in a lot of people, right, that their habits, right, in their earlies, right, let's say you are very thrifty, very frugal in your 20s, right, you will tend to be very frugal all the way, right, even until you retire, right? Because a lot of times the normal Singaporean thinking is like, okay, I'm going to save a lot of money, then when I old already, I'm going to spend it, right? Yeah. But to be honest, I've seen it so many times. When they are thrifty in the young age, right, when they reach the old age, right, they are not spending.
They still can't bear to spend.
Yeah. So there was one case that really hit me very hard is when I see my auntie. My auntie is very thrifty. She don't really spend a lot of money. And now she in her 70s. I see her habit is still the same. And she spend very, very minimum. She don't even travel. She don't what. But my take is, then why you work so hard and save out the money, and at the end of the day you don't really spend, right? I feel it's like totally there's no life. And of course after I see some of my friends pass away and all this, I start to think actually your life is very short. Right? I can be very thrifty now, but you don't know what happened will be the next day, right? Right. So when I start to have my kids and all this, that it really got me thinking. Like really have to split. Like some is like really every year you have to bring your kids, your family, go for a holiday, right? I think it's good for mental health also, right? Okay. So I feel if you are younger, right, you should go by percentage, right? So maybe 50% is your fixed cost, right? There's a personal finance sort of like a guide to it. I think this book was very good. This I Will Teach You to Be Rich, right? By this Ramit guy.
Ramit Sethi.
Ramit Sethi. I think he wrote a very, very good book over here. I think you guys, you can go take a look, read. So what he says that don't save up on all those, because last time I so thrifty, I don't drink Starbucks coffee. I will drink the normal coffee shop coffee, right? But actual fact, I really like the Starbucks coffee, right?
Okay.
So he said, don't save up on this. You should save up on the big expenses.
Okay.
Right. So you must go and identify what's your big expenses and you cut on it.
Because there's more bang for your buck. Because like trying to save a cup of coffee, I mean, it could add up, but it's a lot of mental effort to do that. Whereas if you like say instead of flying business class, you can fly economy. It's okay, but you can save a big amount just by that one decision.
So now I'm very different. I go to Starbucks.
Okay, I was showing you guys this like TikToker, Malaysian TikToker, right? Very funny. I can't remember the name, but it was like saying I was drinking Starbucks. But I realized I can save money. I can go to the coffee shop. I can save money. So I realized I can actually save more money. I go make my own coffee and save money. And then you realize I actually can drink water and save money. And then he goes like, so what's the point of life?
That's true.
Right?
That's true. Yeah.
That was a very funny video.
So
pretty good.
in this Ramit book, right, he actually says that you should keep your fixed cost, which is your more recurring at 50%.
Okay.
Right. And the other 50%, right, is split like 10% is for investment that he advised go to the ETF. 20% is saving, and the 20% is your want. Okay, whatever you want to travel and what, you go and spend it, right? You don't save it up, but you just go and spend it, right? For my aunt, she don't have the want, so when she get old, she don't even spend. Then I feel it's like there's totally no life, you just born, you work, you save, and you just die.
So just to be clear, you're not criticizing your aunt because you're close to your aunt, right?
Yeah, I'm close to my aunt.
And you actually tell her, go spend your money, right?
But she don't, because it's a habit that she built from young, So I feel that I'm not saying that you don't totally. I say you build this habit, but you do it consistently all the way until you owe, so that you know that when you owe, right, you still spending, but you spend based on the percentage.
Oh, so instead of like trying to save a huge amount, and you should actually just set this standard template that, for example, like that, always save 20%, 20%, and as your income grows, your 20% will grow bigger.
Correct.
And then you can save more, and but at the same time you're still enjoying life.
Correct.
I mean, life is
because you never know. Today's your last day. I mean, life is to experience. And I think one point I can bring up is that there are certain things in life that you cannot experience at a different age. Traveling in your 20s is so different from traveling in your 30s, 40s, 50s.
It's so different when you're traveling with your kids.
Yes. So there are certain things that, yes, you can save money, but that you cannot get time back.
Correct.
And there are certain things that you have to experience in your 20s. Regardless of, I mean, because you don't go crazy with your amount and stuff. Like, for example, I don't know, like a really expensive concert ticket. Going in your 20s is different from your 30s, man.
Correct.
Entirely different. So just go for it, because it's an experience that you'll stay with you forever. Instead of trying to live like a monk.
Correct.
And then and then you splurge in your 50s, man. I mean, in your 50s. It's different. It's different. So
but of course, he gave one is a very standard template. So if I'm in the early 20s, right, I will do slightly different. Right, I still want to save, because I want to buffer for my 30s. Right, because when you reach 30s, right, you tend to have more expenses if you are married and you have kids and all this. Right, so in the early 20s, right, if you are managed to save well, right, you can really build a comfortable path for you when you're in 30s. Right, so maybe the investment one and the saving one, right? Instead of like 10%, 20%, then your one is 20%. Maybe my one I'll reduce to 10%.
Okay.
Right. Then or maybe 10-15%. Up to you. It really depends on your situation. Right. But as I grow older, right, I want to increase my that 1 to 20%. Right? Okay. Because when you early into investment, right, your money compound. You got the time. Right. So once you got the time, right, with little money I can compound big sum. Right. But when you get older, right, and your time is short, right, it's the money that you put in to catch up. Right. Okay. Right? So that's what I think about it.
So how much do you save now?
Now I save about 30%.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have 2 kids.
Yeah. Okay. So what about your story? If anything you want to share when you were younger?
I was quite fortunate. Still fortunate today.
That's good.
So I don't have family or parents who are dependent on me. And in fact, I was being sent to Singapore at the age of 15, and I get to live with my aunt. So I don't really have to pay for a rental. So that was a big saving that I had, because at the time I also don't have income. So my parents would just give me some.
You were a student, right?
I was still a student. Yeah. So I was still, my parents would pay for my school fees, and then I would just get allowances. Didn't state how much, but I try not to spend, because I have the mentality of saving also. So my lifestyle was really simple, right? Every day just go to school. The most that we play is like 1 or 2 hours at line shop, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. So the entertainment was actually very simple, right? Even after I finished my school, I came out, started working, and that's where I have my active income comes in. But my lifestyle didn't change that much, right? So I was actually managed to save about 70%. 80%.
So similar to Victor, actually.
Yeah, 70% actually, because I do give after that allowance to my auntie to cover all my food expenses, right, and help her to pay some utility costs and all that stuff, right. And then my lifestyle didn't really change much. The most entertainment that is quite simple is usually like going, I had an ex-girlfriend then, and we just go watch movie. So it doesn't cost a lot of money. I try to go on the weekday, so when there's it's a lot cheaper. I refuse to take taxi because it was like very big ticket item, especially for student. Okay. So I've never ever, even like now Grab, you ask me, I wouldn't do it. Yeah. So that actually helped me manage to save, right? And then as my life journey go along, and then I got married, saving rate started to drop. Yeah, you get a house, so I have like big commitment. You got to pay for your mortgage, you got to pay for your utility costs and then internet, and on top of what I'm still giving to my aunt, right? And then after that, first kid come out, second kid comes out. When the first kid come out, I still doing everything myself, and then when the second kid comes out, I really need to get someone to help me, and that's where I get a domestic helper to help me. That expenses started to go up again. And then subsequently, I then realized that, hey, we needed a car because of our house, and it's really inconvenient. At that time, the kids were also sick, so we decided to get a car. So that commitment becomes higher and higher. So as you upgrade, right, as you have more people dependent on you, your save it's a lot more difficult for me to save. So now I managed to barely save 10%, right? Excluding my bonus. If I include the bonus, it will be higher. Understand. All right. So so that it's, if you can start early, save as much as you can, right? So that's the time where it's your prime time before you have any commitment. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, I don't want to have kids, then I will have more saving. I think that's not the answer, but it's really dependent again at the end of the day, right? I have friends who when we talk about kids, they really look at kids like, oh, expensive, I want to have kids. I mean, that shouldn't be the way. To me, is I actually have a lot more happier when I have my firstborn came up, and then second one, and I realized that the life is so different with having them. And it's not just about money. I mean, it's really expensive to bear kids in Singapore, so government must give us more money. I mean, I personally love kids actually. So not everyone may like kids. My sister is one of them that don't like kids. So it's really very, very personal. But if money is the one that's stopping you from having kids, I think should not be. If you are someone who really loves kids, I think you should go for it. Because you ultimately find a way, to come around.
I see Roseman is promoting.
I see promoting family. Because I mean, even it's tough for the first few years, especially the toddler's age, and the gap for my son, both are quite close, less than 2 years old. It can be quite taxing, right? But this is, my mother-in-law always tell me, it's just tough now. For another next 2 years, things will be a lot easier. And I'm starting to see now, as my older one get older, actually it's a lot easier. But the first 2 years is tough, right? But once they hit 3 years old, 4 years, it's a lot easier. Yeah, but on the expenses, she told us you'll be highest at this stage. But once they grow older, they go primary school, all of a sudden you realize that a lot of expenses they incur to them suddenly gone. So then that will go back to your savings. So it's just a temporary phase that your saving rate may drop, right? But you will bounce back.
Okay. Yeah, because like schools in Singapore, it's
almost like free for local Singaporean, right? So that is where she did tell us that it will be the toughest part, because that's where all the big budget come. A wedding, Singapore is really expensive, especially when it comes to buying house, all the big ticket items. Yeah, so you say once that is over, you realize that you will come back. You'll normalize. Yeah. So I still commit to traveling, because like what Peter say, I think the kids, when they are the cutest, is when they are the first 3 years, right? So that's the time where I want to really capture a lot of memories.
I think the first 2 years they just kind of like
I think second years onwards, third year. So those are the prime. So I did brought my kids to travel. You know, I know it's eating over my budget, but I want to capture those memories, because once they grow up, it will be gone. Yeah, that's why I took a lot of videos.
The thing about kids, they're only 5 years old once. They're only 6 years old once.
Yes,
every year is different.
And once they go to primary school in Singapore, it's even more difficult to travel, right? So I want to take this time where they are very difficult to manage, and it's when you like what you say, when you travel with the couple. Just last time, me and my wife was so different, right? Versus when you travel with the family, it's big different, right? So I expect my saving rate will go up once they start to go to primary school. Right, so now it's at all-time low, excluding bonuses.
But it's still okay. I mean, still managed to save and all that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're not holding back. Certain things, like I said, time is more important than the money you save sometimes.
I think treasure more on the quality of time that I have with my family, and all those memories that's being created. So to me, money, it's important, all right, but that will come later.
So it's all about balance, because you can't spend everything. So like, I mean, Americans' savings rate 3%. I think that's a little bit too low. But
it looks fine for them, actually. It seems like they're still doing very well.
I mean, they're a very happy, optimistic country.
But I think it depends on your situation also. Different people got different circumstances. But I mean,
that's true.
If you are currently in a very hard time and you require to save a lot, or you only can save very little, even you save very little, right? Try to save as much as you can and build the amount so that you can get yourself out of the situation. Right? No point complaining and what. Right? So you just have to really find ways to maybe increase your income and what to get yourself out of the situation. Then you get more comfortable.
That is so true. I mean, everyone's situation is different.
Correct.
It could take time to get out of that situation.
I mean, I would say that I'm quite fortunate.
I think we've all been pretty fortunate. I save about 10-20% like you as well. Last year was a huge, expensive year for me. Moving and everything. So so I think I didn't save much last year, but I think big ticket items will come like that. I saved, I think, about 50% when I was younger. I think I can't remember. I wasn't tracking my expenses then. But for me, I don't really I don't shop. I don't like shopping. So I don't have ways to spend money. If I do spend money, it's something like a hobby, like Lego, for example, or video games. But $80 for a video game can last you a month, or something like that. It's great value for money. If I eat, I like to eat. I actually like expensive food. I think that's maybe the thing I spend on the most. I spend most on food, but I don't have like a super expensive habit like wine. If you collect wine, it's a totally different hobby altogether. So actually, I don't have many ways to spend, but if I do spend, I like quality. So that's the way I save money. I don't spend a lot, but if I do spend, I just want to make sure I get quality for what I spend on. That's pretty much it. So
you just have to be consistent throughout your life.
That's yes, pretty much. I think my lifestyle has inflated over the years, because I mean, as you get older, you earn more money. You're a little bit more tired. I don't want to I would take a taxi in Japan to the airport. Just stay on the train, stuff like that. But in general, I think my wants haven't really inflated beyond like crazy. Like, I'm starting to collect watches or cars. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Some people like that. but I just don't have those ones. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. So anyway, I think the book that you mentioned is a pretty good template for most people to follow, right?
Good. I mean, your personal finance have to get it right first.
Yeah.
Even before you even start investing, right? If you can't get your personal finance right, then how can you even start investing?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you always spend so much,
you don't have money to invest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And of course, balance it. You know, follow it, and I mean, you could go tomorrow. You never know. Is there anything else like you would change, or is everything like what you've done so far in the past? It's all led you to this point. It's okay.
Yeah, but if I were to go back, I will say 50% instead of like 80%.
Because the difference in that point in time is maybe a difference of what, $200 more?
Yeah, but you can go travel and all this. Right? You can go and understand. Look at the world. You know, I mean, you can if you tend to see things more, it really changes your perspective about life more. I also feel right. There's a lot of things to learn. Right. I mean, like some people may think that going holidays is a waste of time and all this, waste of time, waste of money. Yeah. Right. But to me, is I feel you go and experience life. Yeah. Right. I mean, like you just only have the one life. Cannot be your one life. You just work, save, die.
That is so sad.
Yeah,
the way you put it.
I just feel it's a very sad life if you were to do that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I think the message of this whole video is, I think saving is very important. Yeah. But don't go to the extremes.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Don't go to the extreme.
Don't go to the extremes. Yeah. And there are certain things in life that you can only experience once in that period.
At that stage.
Correct.
At that stage in your life, so you don't want to miss out on that. Okay, so I think that's what we wanted to share today. Is there anything else you want to share, guys?
No, that's all for me.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so my name is Adam. That's Rusmin, Victor.
Thank you
so much for watching. Any questions or stories you want to share about your own personal experience when it comes to saving money, feel free to put them in the comment section so other people can read it and learn from them as well. Please hit the like button. That will really help us with our recommendations, and of course subscribe to our channel. Many more roundtables coming up, and we'll see you again.